Hello and a very warm welcome to The Crowd Live, where ideas meet opportunity. I'm Ross Westgate here in London, a city that sits at the heart of the world's international investment flows. It's a town literally bursting with startups and the perfect location to launch our first live show. So what is The Crowd? Well, The Crowd is the world's first mobile app that allows anyone with a great business idea to connect with a network of potential investors anywhere in the world. Budding entrepreneurs submit a 60-second pitch video which the investors watch, and if they're interested, swipe right. Now it's no longer about who you know, it's only about the quality of your thinking and your ability to perform. So for the next hour, that's exactly what we're going to find out as we hear directly from the entrepreneurs themselves. Who knows, the next big idea could be just a swipe away. But before they can stand out from the crowd, they'll also have to face our own crack team of interrogators, experts in their own fields who know what it is to launch a business idea, or more importantly, back it. First up in our London studios, we have Manny Weiss and Tom Onions. Manny is a legend in the global metals trading business, a private investor and CEO of Marylebone Diversified. Tom is CEO of Clearshore Capital, which backs high-growth businesses through all the different phases of development. So, gents, great to have you on the show. Before we kick off, Tom, what are you looking to hear tonight?
Hi, Ross. Really excited to be here. Great ideas, I think. Great ideas and passion.
Manny?
I'd love to see some ingenious ideas on the internet for the first time, and thank you so much for hosting us.
Well, it's great to have you in the studio, but we haven't just got Manny and Tom here with me in London. Also joining us in Greenwich, Connecticut, we have Bill Johnson. Bill is the former Deputy Head of Global Asset Management at Credit Suisse and today is also a private investor. In Boston, we've got John Wilson, Senior Advisor at McKinsey and CEO of Hyannisport Capital. Hyannis focuses on private equity investment, commercial real estate development and consulting services to private companies. And last but certainly not least, to complete the pack, we have Richard Galanti in Seattle. Richard is CFO of Costco and operating partner at the private equity firm Center Partners Management. Richard, what do you want to see tonight? What are you looking for?
Well, thank you for having me. Looking forward to young, passionate people with great ideas. A lot of things come across my desk in the consumer world, of course, and through friends, I get to see a lot of things. And so I know a few things to look for and look forward to hearing what these young entrepreneurs have to say.
Great. Bill, people or ideas or passion, what do you want?
I'll go none of the above. The originality of the idea is important, but I want to hear an articulation of the path to execution and scaling into a business. Because, Ross, we fund businesses, not ideas per se.
And John, the final word with you on this?
Okay, great. I look for three things, Ross. Look for a value proposition from a customer point of view that's unique. I look for a business model that has advantages over the competition. And I look for an entrepreneur that's got the right leadership skills and a team that can be coachable.
Okay, so that's what the experts want to see or hear. The crowd control experts are ready. But even if our plucky band of business warriors pass their test, there's still one last group they have to convince, and that's you. Because yes, you're part of the crowd, and we want to know what you think. So make a noise, type in your questions, and let us know what would it take to swipe right. And now it's time to find out who can stand out in the crowd. Our first pitch is from twin brothers in Chicago who are looking to make a difference by building affordable housing in their hometown.
Hi, my name is Anthony Downing.
And I'm Anton Downing.
And we're twins and firefighters on the south side of Chicago. And when we're not fighting fires, we're renovating properties just like this across the city.
Renovating homes that people can be proud to live in struggling communities.
That are affordable and bring back the pride that everyone wants to see in the city.
We can turn this
into that and make a profit while doing it.
With our own money invested, we've proven that social impact investing is very profitable in Chicago. We've been featured on HGTV, and we're currently working on a series about our renovations here in Chicago.
We need more capital from anyone, large or small, so that we can grow our business, so that we can renovate more houses in this community.
There's a lot of work to do. Please reach out to us via the crowds to discuss doing business with us.
Thank you for watching, and we look forward to hearing from you.
And joining us now are Anthony and Anton Downing from Natural Crown Properties. They're in Chicago. Guys, great to see you. Thanks very much for the video. Look, pretty inspiring that you're doing up old properties and bringing them into new. What are you looking for in terms of investment?
Well, we're looking to get the funding so that we can not just do one house or one block, so that we can actually change a neighborhood. We're looking to get the funding so that we can maybe do 20 homes simultaneously, so that we can set the standard, set the price, and to be able to convince people, to other individuals and businesses, to also invest in what the federal government has now deemed these neighborhoods opportunity zones.
And so what does it take? How much money does it take to do one property?
Well, you want to go ahead? Oh, well, I mean, on average, it takes us about $200,000 to purchase and renovate a property. And then we can sell those properties at minimum a 30% profit. Okay,
right. Let's bring in the experts here. Manny, you've got to love the firefighters doing social housing. It's a great idea. What do you want to
Hi, guys. First question. Is there an unlimited supply? So is this something, irrespective of one house, can you be doing 100 if you had the money? Or is it limited to the neighborhood?
Absolutely. Yeah, our goal is really to be able to do 20 simultaneously over the course of a 12-month period.
And so
but I mean, we can do far more than that. As far as inventory in the city of Chicago, there are thousands of homes that are foreclosures or short sales. The inventory, I mean, there's far more inventory than we would ever be able to get to, on our own.
Okay.
And my second question is, have you got, as firefighters now in the construction business, what's your competitive advantage?
Well, our competitive advantage is that we're in and out of the homes in the neighborhoods that we're looking at. Like, we know the construction of them. We literally know every aspect of the construction types throughout these neighborhoods. I think another advantage is that because we're on the ground level and we see these properties on a daily basis, I mean, we live in these communities, we work in these communities, we know the pockets of neighborhoods where this is a really nice block, and then this one may not be as, and we know exactly what the opportunities are because we see them every day.
Okay, John, let's bring you in. You've been involved in private equity. You've invested in real estate, maybe not at this level. What do you think? What do you want to ask the boys?
Sure, thanks, both Anton and Anthony. One of the questions I would have is, how can you truly scale this model? You know, there's a lot of fixed costs, a lot of bandwidth needed to acquire the property, to develop the right plans, to negotiate and manage the contractor, the construction cycle, the exit cycle. Doing one at a time is great, maybe even doing 2 or 3 with your individual bandwidth. But as full-time employees of the fire department, how do you have the bandwidth to go from 1 to 20 simultaneously? And what are your plans? You think about scaling. How realistic is that?
Well, I can tell you, we have strategic partnerships with general contracting companies that would allow us to have the manpower and organizations to do far more than what we're doing on our own. In fact, because of the media coverage that we've been getting the last 2 months, we actually have contractors and realtors and banks knocking down our doors to work with us because they've seen the quality of our work. Schedule-wise, firefighters work 8 days a month, 24 on, 48 off. And then every 2 weeks, we're 5 days off. So we have plenty of time to be hands-on.
Okay, Bill, quick word from you. What do you want to know from the guys?
So once a property has been improved in a location that you've curated, how much demand is there for these properties? And if you talk to the mortgage bankers about the any special programs in terms of finding purchasers?
Well, we can talk about it. Yeah. So we actually were just featured in an article in Chicago Crane's Business about the fact that on the south side of Chicago, once we list a property on the MLS, the average time sale time is 50 days, which is about half the time to sell a property in any other part of the Chicagoland area.
Okay, guys.
Answer this question.
Great to have you on the show. Look, we wish you all the best with the idea. We love the passion that you've got. Thanks for joining us. Anthony and Anton Downing joining us from Chicago from Natural Crown Properties. Really good to see you, boys. That's the first one down. Plenty more to come. Just a reminder, of course, that the Crowd is an enabler only. It allows entrepreneurs to connect directly with the potential investors. So no endorsement of either any person or business that appears on the Crowd is implied by their participation on the show. And also, our experts here are acting as individuals. So any of their thoughts, again, are purely individual to them. And don't forget, as well, have you ever wanted to make a bet with friends for something other than money? This next entrepreneur might just have the answer.
Competition is primal. Competing with friends is so much fun, but wagering money among friends, that can be awkward, and betting nothing, well, that's boring. Introducing Best, the revolutionary new social app that gamifies the experience of competition and uses it to drive fun and passion. Make bets on anything and compete for social clout instead of money. Engage with your friends' bets and their outcomes, banter with each other, share to existing social networks, and even take sides on who you think is going to win. Form groups with your closest buddies and jockey for the top spot on the rankings. In addition, engage with outside content including sports, esports, and TV shows. Best friends since grade school, my co-founder Linda and I are working with behavioral economists at UChicago to drive and track user behavior, which we will monetize through unique native programmatic advertising and sponsored content. Having been featured by Forbes and American Innovation, and with over 1,000 registered beta users, we're looking for the best investors to join us.
Oh, we like that video dancing at the end there. That's fantastic. Well done, guys. Joining us now is the CEO, Spencer Gordon-Sand. Spencer, good to see you. Thanks so much indeed for joining us, Spencer. Great idea. I like the fun element behind it. As I understand, you've had, what, $20,000 in initial funding. What are you looking for now in terms of financing or investment?
Yeah, so right now we're looking to raise about $100K as a seed pre-seed round. So we finished up our beta. We've actually just got the testing, some of the results of the testing in today, and we're about to go to market. And so we want to sort of use that capital to go to market. Our testing has been fantastic, by the way. We have a really high net promoter score, which is a big thing we were looking at. And we just want to start rolling it out and getting to the hands of users. So it's not live in the App Store yet, but it's live on Test Flight, if you guys know what that is.
Okay. And what do you want? How much of the equity are you giving away for $100,000?
Yeah, so what we're looking to raise right now is as a safe note, so convertible debt, and a value cap of about $4 million with a discount rate of about 20%, which is pretty standard across the industry. Okay,
seems punchy. Tom, what do you think of the idea?
I love the video, but I was just wondering, are there any regulatory things to think about, like policing the nature of the bets that could be? Because they could get quite extreme. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So what's great is we actually avoid anything that has to do with gambling. It's the legal definition of gambling. We need to take money from people and then give them money in return. We don't ever take money, even if we have sponsored prizes. We don't fall under that purview. For example, HQ Trivia can give out prizes because it doesn't fall under the regulations. In terms of content, the content we're looking to sort of regulate is content that could potentially be linked to bullying, and we have a really good sort of system in place for flagging, reporting, above industry standards for social media companies.
Bill, let's throw it on to you. Do you like the idea?
I'm skeptical, Ross. Spencer, to basically create these groups with my friends, couldn't I use other platforms?
That's a great question. So I'll have two-part answers to that. The first part is what we've done a lot with this app is tailored it towards Gen Z. And what Gen Z is on Facebook. So only 9% of Gen Z has a Facebook, and of those, a lot of them don't really use it. And the other messaging platforms, Instagram or Snapchat, are really not great at geared towards this. You can't track things long term in those formats, and the gamification and the social sharing aspect isn't built in. So we're building something that really isn't captured in those other platforms, if that's what you're talking about.
All right, Richard, we need to bring you in. What do you think of this?
Well, I've got children that are Gen Vers and what have you, but I don't know what the heck they do all day on some of the stuff. I mean, one question would be who are your biggest competitors out there? Just every platform that's out there?
So yeah, there's been a couple of people who have attempted this. in various forms here and there, and we spent a lot of time researching them. A few of them have failed. Some of them are sort of exist but don't have much traction. And what we looked at was we said, okay, why? Why is that? And there were two big reasons that they didn't work out. The first of which was a lot of them tried to mimic the gambling experience. They had in-app currency that was fake, and what we realized was that really didn't lead to a fun experience. A lot of people don't like the math around gambling, and they weren't going for like a gambling experience. They wanted something radically different. So rather than just thinking about this as gambling but without money, we thought of it as gambling but with something else, with this social component and gamification as really strong driving factors. And then secondly, some failed because they tried to verify outcomes of competitions between friends, and that there was one that tried, you uploaded photos, and that doesn't really make that much sense. The only outcomes we seek to verify are those from Major League Sports or NCAA sports or esports or TV shows where we know 100% for certain the outcome.
Okay, Spencer, good to have you on. Love the breakdancing. We wish you all the very best. Good luck with the next funding, and look forward to seeing how you get on. Thanks very much, Spencer Gordon-Sand from Best. Don't forget, of course, we'd love to hear from you as well, other members of the crowd, so you can write your questions into us. We'd love to know what you think or any questions you want to put to any of our entrepreneurs. Now, our next business idea is all about trying to bring the gaming world alive by using sensory technology and virtual reality suits. Will they stand out from the crowd? Let's find out.
A father, a son, a couch, a video game, a missile fired, an explosion, dirt, debris, characters tossed through the air. On the screen, the visuals, incredible, amazing. Our characters, battered, bruised, barely escaped. We saw it, but never felt it. It happened to our characters. It didn't happen to us. Well, it just got real. We are IFTech, Inventing Future Technology, Inc., a high-tech Ontario corporation. Developed a new sensory stimulation technology called AirRed, as real as it gets, a wearable suit allowing video gamers, moviegoers, training and simulation participants to feel and hear as if they are actually there in that moment, in that world. Our initial sustainable market is the multi-billion-dollar training and simulation market, where IFTech is currently working with the Department of National Defence and the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. At IFTech, we help soldiers come home by providing real-world experiences without the real-world risks. AirRed technology is filed for patent in 35 countries. IFTech's growth in future markets include video games, movies, and medical rehabilitation. This equity round is for $250,000.
Okay, well, this is where gaming proves that if you spend your life gaming, you can come up with a product potentially that could change the market. Joining us now are father and son creators, Michael and Brodie Stanfield, the founder and co-CEOs. Hi, guys. And just in case you're wondering, that is Brodie on the left. He's the son, because they're both. Michael looks pretty young as well.
Thank you very much.
Thanks very much for joining us. Arag Tech. So this is. So if you get shot, you feel the pain, I guess, is what happens. So this comes out of your gaming.
Absolutely.
So you're looking to patent this in 35 countries? Have you got any patents through at the moment?
Well, currently we've got patents filed in 35 different countries. We filed our patent in 2013, and believe it or not, it's still ongoing in each one of these different countries. So we're just waiting for outcomes now.
Okay, and you're looking for some investment of $250,000. Let's bring in Richard here. Richard, how much does this interest you? You look like a real gamer, Richard. This could be for you.
Oh, I'm a big gamer. What I need is a baseball cap so the sun above you can see me better. I'll go get one of those. Look, Best Buy just came out with their quarterly results, and they attributed the last week from all the stuff going on with gaming. From the games themselves to the goggles to you name it. So a couple of questions. How much that you said you're looking to raise $250, what does that buy?
So $250,000. That right now we are with the Department of National Defence and Royal Canadian Mounted Police. And over the next 12 to 16 months, we're looking at revenues and sales of about $1 million. So the $250,000 is going to help us move forward and scale the company. The valuation, of course, we're giving away 5% of the company, which preferred shares in equity, and that values us at approximately $5 million.
And what would be the three biggest markets that you would see?
So our initial sustainable market is training and simulation.
Then our growth market is entertainment, and our future market is medical. So training and simulation includes aerospace, military, police, and transit. Entertainment is everything from video games to movies, whether it's you're watching, playing, esports, streaming. And then medical is more on the actual body, trying to help rehabilitate people, and as well as PTSD.
Manny, come on, I know you want to try this.
For me, it's just like an amazing understanding, and unless I feel it, I can't really get my head around it. I'm taking your word for it. The video is fantastic, and it's a great idea. So the best step forward is to go to one of the shows, I presume, where you have your products and test it.
So at this time, realistically, the easiest way would be coming to us or us going to you. Because we've been dealing with training and simulation at this time, we've been doing more things privately than actually going to like consumer electronic shows and the like.
Right.
Okay, we've got anything else, man? You want to? No. We've got a question in from Jake. Thanks, Jake, for sending this in. Jake wants to know, how do you see this overcoming either virtual reality, augmented reality, or gaming in arcades?
Sure. So with our product, we don't focus on requiring a headset or a different device. We actually looked at the general population of gaming. And so the idea is you can wear our suit in any of those different environments. For us to push into that, the reason why we started with training and simulation as our sustainable market is because we need to scale. So when it comes to entertainment, the idea is we go there first, we scale a product through larger volumes, and then we push into that market to make sure we can hit the actual normal consumer price point. And so the idea is we actually can allow for any gamers to use it, not just specifically pigeonholing into one specific place.
Brodie, Michael, thanks very much indeed for joining us. I think it's a sort of one of the products we sort of all want to have a go at, because we just want to know how painful it could be to be shot. But look, thanks so much for joining us all the way in Wyoming, Michael and Brodie Stanfield. Right, what a great idea. Let's move on though from well, it's not VR, but let's move on from gaming tech to something more traditional, mining. Our next company, DISA, is a materials liberation company that optimizes the world's use of resources by disrupting best practices in the mining and reclamation industries using patented technology. Take a look.
DISA is an innovative materials liberation company providing solutions that optimize the world's use of resources and radically disrupt best practices in the mining and reclamation industries. Using patented liberation technology, DISA isolates targeted materials in order to deliver efficiencies, reduce costs, and mitigate environmental impacts to its users. DISA isolates a vast array of geologic material ranging from precious and industrial metals to hydrocarbons and abandoned uranium mine material. In this video, we are processing raw ore containing gold and silver on our Gen Alpha unit that is capable of processing approximately 25 tons per hour. In this particular test, we successfully removed 90% of the barren materials while retaining 96% of the gold and 84% of the silver. The direct and indirect benefits these results represent, once taken to scale, will shatter the status quo of minerals processing, which hasn't changed much in the last 100 years, until now. Contact us today and be a part of our team.
All right, and joining us now is Tara Righetti, General Counsel at DISA. She joins us now in Toronto. Thanks, Tara, for joining. By the way, is it DISA, DISA? How do you pronounce it?
It's DISA.
DISA. Okay. Look, this is it's some technical information here, but you're about reducing environmental costs, 25 tons per hour. You said in the video. How quickly, how dramatically does it change the processing time for somebody that uses this technology?
So our technology, and we've scaled up now to be able to process up to 30 tons an hour, is not so much about making it faster, although we can compete with the speed of conventional processes, but more about reducing waste. So we can radically reduce the energy inputs, the chemical inputs, the transportation costs, and the processing costs necessary to separate the materials you want from the materials you don't want.
All right, I've got to bring in Manny. Manny, you spent your life trading commodities, right? So this is right up your street.
So is your process something that deals with the ore into a concentrate and separate? Or is this something new that from the ore you're able to start separating, A? And B, have you thought through it with all the problems we've seen in Brazil recently and other countries with their red mud lakes? Is this DISA a solution for those issues?
Great. So I'll take your first question first, and that is yes, we both separate and concentrate. So DISA is revolutionary in that in addition to reducing the particle size, it also separates the materials along their boundaries and particle boundaries. So you end up with the gangue material, which is the barren material you don't want, as separated from the material you do in a concentration. So we've found that we can get rid of about 90% of what you don't need while still retaining almost all of the material that you wanted. So the concentration increases dramatically. Second, we think this offers a lot of benefits to similar problems like you see with the tailings dam failures, because it is a closed loop process that would allow us to process the ore and then remove the concentrates, which would be available for separation in a much less environmentally degrading manner.
Bill?
So from the video, there was a blue machine. So it's effectively you produce these blue machines, and then the revenue model is to sell those machines to the end users.
We've looked at numerous revenue models. One would be building and selling the machines. Another is more of a service model where we could go to the mine site or the mill site and do processing in exchange for a fee per ton and a royalty. And we've also looked at the possibility of licensing to strategic partners in other emerging markets.
Okay, John, what do you want to know?
Yeah, I'd be interested to know what the payback is from the customer point of view. And it looks like you've done some beta testing. Are some of the large mining companies willing to support you with supplier or with financing as you try to scale out some of these beta tests?
So as you know, this is an industry that has huge capital costs, and there's a lot of inertia from the status quo. What we need to do, and what this funding aims to do, is allow us to test and prove the technology in a continuous state in the field. We have worked with several mines and are working on getting pilot project agreements that would allow us to go and test in the field. And this capital raise will facilitate buying some of the assets and equipment necessary for those field tests.
Tara, thanks for that. Very quick, I've got a question from Jake, who's part of the crowd, wants to know what's your view of selling this into a slowing industry?
Into a what industry? Pardon?
Slowing.
We actually see this as a growing industry because of all the materials that are going to be necessary for the fourth industrial revolution. We're seeing mining take off globally in terms of vanadium and other rare earth elements necessary for energy storage. So we think that you will have growth in the mining sector, although we may be mining materials that are different than the materials we've been mining historically.
All right, Tara, good to see you. Thanks so much for joining us from Toronto. From DESA, I hope I pronounced that right now. By the way, Richard, we're loving the hat there. That's, I think we're all going to get one.
As soon as I can grab my daughter, you can have a baseball hat that's hot as
Okay. Share those out. Now, just a reminder, of course, that the crowd is just an enabler. We just allow entrepreneurs to connect directly with potential investments. No endorsement of either any personal business that appears on the show tonight is implied by their participation on the show. And equally, all of our experts today are just here giving their opinions as individuals. So the next entrepreneur that we're going to look at has already received $1 million in funding and successfully beta tested his big idea, a mobile ticket selling app for millennials. All right, joining us now is Dom Constant, CEO at Ticket, and he joins us in New York. Dom, really good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Pretty impressive already. $1 million funding in date, pre-seed. You've had, what, $15,000 in gross revenue of about 12,000 ticket purchases, if I've got that right. What are you looking for now, and what's the revenue model?
So right now we're looking to basically scale and make this a market-ready product beyond the beta test we've been doing for the past 12 months. We are looking for basically a seed raise of $3 to $4 million, up to $5 million. We're shooting for a 20% dilution, which would be about $15 million valuation. Right now, our focus is taking everything we've done in the past 12 months, everything we've learned, all the feedback from users, all the excitement from users, and making our product a lot more streamlined and basically ready for mass adoption. Our next benchmark, I'd say, is 100,000 users.
Okay, Richard, let's bring you in here. What do you think of this 50 million valuation? Some might think that's a bit punchy at this stage.
Well, it's healthy, but what did you spend the first $1 million on?
So we haven't burned through all of it, you'd be pleased to know. But basically, we used that funding in the last couple of years to hire new engineers. We have our core CTO, Atlas Wegman, who's my co-founder. We brought 2 engineers onto his team, and we basically have used that for the beta product, building everything from day one alpha all the way till now.
And of the 12,000 tickets, what venue was it? One type of venue, or 2 or 3, or what?
So what we're dealing with here is actually the college market. So basically, everyone's been to college, or at least most people have. And what people don't realize is kids are partying a ton, but they're actually selling tickets to each other for their parties. So we're not talking music venues, we're not talking artists. We are talking about fraternity parties, social gatherings. Hey, pay me $5 to get into this. Maybe a charity event by a sorority. And they're selling tickets, but they don't have a way to do that. They're using cash, they're trying to use Venmo. And when we found this first event we ever came across, they were doing $50,000 in ticket sales for one night, all with cash and Venmo, and it didn't make any sense. So we basically built them software, a tool similar to Venmo, but with all these sort of standard ticketing procedures. You have scanning tickets, guest list, things that they can quickly check people off. And compile that and try to make it as easy as possible for them.
So Dom, Jake just wrote in and said you're not trying to compete then with Ticketmaster and for concerts and events. That's not where you're at. It's a private sort of ticketing.
Exactly. So I think right now it's definitely an untapped market, but I would say it's really an undiscovered market.
Okay.
Kids are doing enough partying for a lot of people, and they sort of. Well, we've seen ticket prices up to $500, sometimes $20, sometimes $100, but this has nothing to do with the amateur ticketing market of Eventbrite you've seen. Although at scale, when we sort of maybe go beyond college market or look at how we can introduce the two together, we might go toe-to-toe with Eventbrite because we are a market that they haven't really focused on.
John?
Yeah, I'd be curious how large you think the addressable market is if you look at the college market, that's your target. And then what really are your big advantages versus Venmo for that segment?
Okay, so addressable market, right now if you look at Venmo's total market, they're doing about, I think last quarter, they did 16 billion in transactions. I think our market's slightly different. I would estimate, we kind of look at it around $10 billion market. It definitely shares some of Venmo's transactions, and it does share some cash that you wouldn't sort of be able to track. But if you look at also philanthropic events done through charities, Greek organizations are some of the largest donators in the world for charities. And your second question was advantages over competing platforms. So we love Venmo. I use Venmo personally. It's an amazing platform. I've also used Eventbrite. College students, they want an experience that takes them 5 seconds. They don't want to spend a long time going onto their website, onto a computer to launch an event, do a cumbersome 5-minute setup with a ton of options they need to click. They want that 10-second experience to buy a ticket and be done with it. So from an Eventbrite competitive standpoint, we streamlined everything they did. We made it mobile first, and we made it so that you can launch an event in under a minute and just start making money.
Okay.
There's a couple more technical details about getting paid out. You get paid out instantly versus 4 weeks after your event. And then on the Venmo side, obviously, Venmo, you get your allowance from your mother, you get your $5 for your lunch that your friend bought you, and then how are you supposed to sort of track, well, this is for the event and this is for my mother.
Okay.
You need an organization tool, which we also provide.
I wish I still had an allowance for my mother. Dom, thank you so much for joining us. Looks to be a really snowy New York State there. Thank you very much. Dom Constant, the CEO of TIFKit. Now, want to avoid a trip to the doctor's office? The next entrepreneur may just have the answer with his at-home digital test for strep throat.
Two of them.
Hi, I'm Russell Rasoli.
I'm Amir Azavi.
And we're the co-founders of Delph Labs.
So you wake up in the morning with a sore throat. Instead of having to miss a day of work or school to go through the hassle of a doctor's visit, imagine if you could test for strep from the comfort of your own home. We're making a product that would be available at retailers and online that would do just that. This patent-pending product will be an easy-to-use digital at-home strep test that's simply 2 steps. You swab your throat, insert the swab into the device, and get digital results within minutes. According to the CDC, 70 to 80% of the time, strep tests come back negative, so you're just sent home from the doctor's office being told to rest. With us, if your test is negative, simply stay at home, rest, monitor symptoms. If the result is positive, we're creating a telemedicine app that would allow you to connect with the doctor remotely and be prescribed antibiotics. Delph Labs is committed to becoming the pioneers of at-home rapid testing. If our mission interests you, please reach out to us at hello@delphlabs.io.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and joining us now is one of the co-founders of the at-home strep test. Rustin Rasoli is the CEO, joining us in Texas. Rustin, you're still at college? University of Texas?
Yeah, studying computer science, but it's a good chance I'll take a leave of absence.
All right, there you go, right? Texas Long, that's the sign, right? You can see that. Okay, I know my colleges. So Rustin, this is something you formulated. It's a great idea. Where are you at the moment? Is this literally just an idea? How far have you got to go? What are you looking for?
So we are on the product development stage. We're working with a product development firm. They made Fitbit's first models, and they have a lot of medical product experience. So we're still at that stage. We have almost raised a pre-seed round and have gotten into an accelerator. So that's the stage we're at right now. We also have a provisional patent on what we're working on.
Okay, Bill, what do you think of this?
Well, I'm obviously worried that this could be a Theranos situation. So, what testing have you done, and how is the science different from the existing science of the typical doctor's test?
Yeah, so we made the strategic investment or decision to literally take what's out that doctors are using right now and make it into this contraption that it takes the same reagents, the same test strip, and it just makes it a 2-step solution. So we're not reinventing anything. And we're also going to go, down through the FDA. A lot of people draw similarities between us and Theranos, but Theranos, they were dealing with blood. Right now, we're just creating a simple test, strep test.
Okay, Tom, what do you think of this? It's interesting. Young guys getting an idea from scratch.
I was wondering how much support you got from a university in this.
So there's a student organization called Genesis. We raised a little bit of equity-free capital, but we aren't really trying to get that involved with the university because a lot of the technology we can create, they can claim ownership over.
Okay. And we've got a couple of questions here from Bruce. He says, if you get tested positive, how do you then get hold of the antibiotics?
So the hardware will show a positive or negative reading. If it's showed positive, it'll also display a QR code. Then on our companion app, you can scan that QR code, and a doctor will get connected to you, and then the doctor can ask you, go through the symptoms and everything, and they're able to write a prescription where they can write it to your pharmacy, or they can have it in certain markets delivered to you to your doorstep in the same day.
Okay. And Luana wants to know, what do you do about false positives?
So that's something that we're working a lot on. So they'll also have the ability to talk to a doctor regardless if they're positive or negative. So a doctor can go through their symptoms and ultimately give his or her decision. We'll also instruct the user that if in 2 to 3 days things don't get better, to go see a doctor.
Richard's put his cap on, so I need to bring him here. Richard, does a home strep test work for you?
Sure. I guess I would ask, what other applications beyond the strep does it have? What would be your immediate next applications?
Yeah, so our go-to market, we're going to have strep and flu together. We're going to expand to UTIs and STDs. Eventually, we're going to get to cancer once we have that, our R&D budget available. But that's probably 5 to 10 years away. But UTI, STD, flu. Go ahead.
No, and in addition, you talk about the doctor will call. Do you have how do you envision having doctors as part of this?
So we would integrate with a telemedicine company that's already built a network of doctors. We want to build our own platform, at least when we're launching.
Okay, Rustin, good to see. Just very briefly, what is it you require now? What sort of is it investment? Is it advice? What is it that's most important to you right now?
Probably strategic investment. So investors who are, they have experience with consumer medical products or medical products in general, or those who have, connections with regulators, specifically the FDA.
Okay, Rustin, good to see you there. Give my best to Austin. That's a great place. We like that. Rustin Rizzoli, CEO of Delve Labs. There we go. We're going to stick in the medical field because our next entrepreneur is a cardiologist who's patented a medical device that could treat and even cure one of the most common heart disorders in the world.
Hello, my name is Dr. Cameron Harvey. I am an interventional cardiologist and a graduate of the Interventional Cardiology Fellowship Program at the world-renowned Cleveland Clinic. I have invented and patented a new device designed to treat and cure atrial fibrillation. Atrial fibrillation, otherwise known as AFib, is the most common irregular heart rhythm disorder in the world. It affects tens of millions of people worldwide. In fact, 70% of all people above age 65 are expected to have some form of AFib in their lifetime. The current market for AFib treatment occupies a multi-billion-dollar space. That market space, too, is expected to rise dramatically as the incidence of AFib increases. Current treatment strategies for AFib have substandard cure rates and frequently require multiple repeat procedures after initial treatments fail. My patent-protected invention is designed not only to overcome these inadequacies, but to ultimately cure AFib. Perhaps you know someone or have a loved one who has been affected by the burdens of AFib. I am seeking investors to my new company, Core Harmonics, who are interested in learning more and perhaps seed investing in the business. I am seeking $250,000 to help launch the business. Thank you.
And joining us now is the founder and CEO of Core Harmonics, Dr. Cameron Harry. Cameron, good to see you. Thanks for joining us. Really fascinating pitch. You said there you want $250,000 to help start this business. How much of the business or the equity would you be prepared to give away for that?
Well, for $250,000, we're prepared to start in the seed round for 25% of the business. We know that this is a huge market space, but we also know that this is the initial round, and we have to perform bench testing and prototype before we get to those levels of market valuations.
Okay, John, he's right at the start, but I've got to say it's an interesting market. What do you think? Oh, apologies for the sound.
It sort of seems like large potential, but it's not clear to me yet where you are in the development cycle, how innovative your technology is, and how confident you are that can actually have the treatment benefits that you're anticipating. What's the basis for you to believe that this will be successful?
Well, so the device has been patented, and actually the device, the impetus for my thought for coming up with this device comes from the fact that atrial fibrillation treatments currently have multiple flaws and patients have to come back multiple times. Now, in terms of the efficacy for my particular device, the basis for the device is that medical treatment for atrial fibrillation by directly applying a medication or a substance into the heart for other medical disorders has been proven and is a standard of care for many other types of ailments within the heart. My device is specifically being utilized now to treat atrial fibrillation by directly applying the medication to the part of the heart that generates that irregular heart rhythm. So we have some basis, we have a significant basis for medical application of the substance to the heart itself for treatment of other disorders. There's just never been an actual device to apply to atrial fibrillation and the region of the heart that generates the abnormal electrical impulse for atrial fibrillation.
And how far along will this $250,000 get you in the testing and verification of the efficacy?
Well, we've budgeted for the first 3 years, and $250,000 should get us through the bench testing for the device, for application of medication, for the first year and a half. We do expect to go for another round of funding in the beginning of the second year, but we're expecting $250,000 to get us to approximately 18 months.
Tom?
I guess my question would be along the line of funding. How long and how much funding do you think it would take to get it to market?
Well, so that depends on where we go with the initial, how long it takes for us to get the initial bench testing performed. So if we have the seed money up front, then we anticipate the bench testing to occur within a matter of months to establish that we can treat atrial fibrillation in vivo, and then in the second year begin animal model. So by the time we have proof of animal model success, we think that within 2 years we can get the device designed to be going to market.
Okay, we've got a couple of questions here, Cameron, from viewers. John wants to know, does it act as a pacemaker, inhaler? How does it actually work?
No, so I didn't want to get too far into the weeds of the medical aspect for this discussion, but as a matter of fact, this device is designed to directly apply a medication into the heart. So it's a procedure that's a pretty standard technique to get into the heart through a vein in the leg. We get into the heart and we can directly apply a medication or a substance to the area of the heart that is generating the abnormal electrical impulse. It's not an implant. It's not a permanent fixture within the human body. It's a method to treat the problem and then get out after the procedure is finished.
Okay, Cameron, we wish you all the best. Look, it sounds like a great idea. The market seems pretty big. So, look, good luck with finding the seed money as well. Dr. Cameron Harry joining us from Chicago and Core Harmonics. Now, hate going to the gym? My wife knows that I do. But our next entrepreneur has created an exercise machine that uses robotics and artificial intelligence to help you exercise more efficiently. This one could help us all stand out from the crowd.
This is the world's most advanced fitness platform, using robotics, artificial intelligence, and adaptive content to help you exercise smarter. Eon uses innovative technology to give you the most effective, efficient, and engaging workout you've ever experienced in less time with better results. This is fitness tailored around your needs, making it as convenient as possible. With Pilates, cross-training, rowing, boxing, and more, Eon is here to give you endless workout options anytime you need. Sweat smarter. With a robotic drive that can reproduce any type of resistance, like elastic, weights, or flywheels, Eon learns and optimizes every second of your movements. This is your very own personal trainer, adapting the weight and resistance as you increase your performance and strength with every rep in every workout. This is smarter fitness at its core. This is a whole new you. This is Eon. Get your Eon.
Well, I'm tired looking at that. Joining us is Leonardo von Prelitz, who's joining us from Eon in Rome. Leonardo, good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Two questions just from me. A, how much does each Eon unit cost? And B, what are you looking for at the moment from potential investors or mentors?
Sure. So what we're thinking about is to market it in a similar way to Peloton. So the device would sell for $3,500, and then you would pay $40 a month for the content streaming into your home so that you can keep on being engaged and motivated while you're doing the workouts. And as the video said, those range from Pilates to cross-training to boxing, cross-country skiing. There's more than 150 different exercises you can do on it. With respect to what we're looking for, it's $450,000 on a safe note with 30% discounts, which would go towards launching the platform on a pre-order campaign. And after the pre-order campaign, basically go bigger into the market with physical presence in a similar way that Peloton did, with some slight differences. that we'll delve into deeper later.
Okay, Richard, I saw you were flexing and stretching during that video. What's your question for Leonardo?
Hi, I'm the before picture. How are you? We have a gym in our house, and it's got the traditional universal weights, a recumbent elliptical, which is my favorite because you can sit down and do all 4 limbs, a treadmill, of course, and some other weights in the ball and all that stuff. What would this replace in there?
So the idea is, whenever you're doing any movement with analog resistance, you're under-optimizing your muscle or your skeletal muscles. So let's say you're doing a bicep curl, you usually pick, I don't know, 20 pounds because that's what you can lift in the weakest part of your range of motion. But technically here you can do twice as much, here 1.5 times, on the way back even up to 2.5, 3 times as much. That's called the eccentric phase. So the whole idea is using intelligence in order to optimize as you're working out, which means A, less injuries, and B, a lot of time saving. So the idea is with analog weights, you're wasting a lot of time, which we can save. And then you can connect that whole data feed to the adaptive content component, which reacts as you're working out and can give you better feedback with respect to what you're doing. So it's building together the convenience of saving time and the engagement and motivational factor into one unit.
3 quick questions. When I looked at it, is there a screen on it that is motivating you through the process?
Yeah. So right now what you saw was a 16-inch screen, and we're thinking of actually increasing the size of it to 21 inches as we're bringing it to market.
Oh, sorry, Richard. We've try again, Richard. We lost your sound there.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is it sold anywhere currently?
Nope. So it's not on the market yet. That's why we're actually here, is in order to get enough firepower to do a big enough marketing campaign that we can get decent unit economic scales.
And where are you headquartered?
So LA and Rome. We do all the design manufacturing in Italy where it's cheaper and the design is better, and LA for the marketing and sales.
Okay, LA and Rome, good places to be. We've got a question here, Leonardo, from Josie, who's asked, does this can you link this up with your personal trainer, or does the AI in E.ON replace the personal trainer?
It's meant to actually empower trainers to have a much wider reach. So you could also record your own content and stream it to your own personal clients or clients that are outside your usual portfolio, and have them use it in a way you would use a Netflix or a Spotify, so that people can subscribe to your own content.
Okay, Leonardo, buona notte there in Rome. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Leonardo von Prelitz, who is the CEO of E.ON. Nearly at the end. Now, our final entrepreneur believes that socially responsible investing can still bring in a healthy profit. His company specializes in building quality housing for lower income home buyers in Namibia.
Hello, I'm Brenton Cuss, CEO of Namibia International Capital. We've proven that socially responsible investing can be profitable. You, the investor, can earn up to 10% a year in US dollars by helping people move out of shacks like these and, for the first time, buy homes like these. To protect your investment, we limit our investment exposure to a maximum of 60% of the value of the home. We believe in offering a hand up, not a handout. To date, we've successfully invested millions of dollars in building affordable homes in Namibia. We employ over 750 people and will continue to create jobs as we scale further. Over 53% of our homes are bought by female-headed households. Namibia is an African success story with a strong and effective rule of law based on German foundations, and a society and culture based on fiscally conservative but modern values. Namibian families currently need an additional 300,000 houses to be built. Please reach out to learn more about the investment opportunity. We believe in doing well by doing good. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to hearing from you.
And Brenton, the CEO, now joins us as well from Switzerland. Brenton, good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Now, Brenton, you're not looking for equity finance. You're sort of looking for debt investment.
Hi, Ross. Yes, that's correct. We have been in Namibia now for the past 18 months, and during that time have built 150 homes. Now, one of the biggest problems that we've had in that period has been the collection of receivables from the sale of our houses. The core challenge we are facing is when we sign a sales contract to when we actually receive the money is quite a labor-intensive process that goes through the banks. So what we're looking for is a form of receivables financing in a convertible note. Form of receivables financing in a corporate note up to $3 million. We propose that we would secure that note against the receivables at a 60% loan-to-value ratio, and also the underlying land holdings of the company. We'd look for the note to pay semi-annually at 10% per annum, and with a minimum term of around about 12 months.
Okay, it's a really interesting idea, and I love the fact it's in Namibian social housing. Manny and Tom, just give us your reactions to this.
Hi, Durban. I have a few questions. Number one, is Namibia a safe place to do business? I've not been there. It's German background, but is there, like in London or New York, are there real estate laws protecting the entrepreneurs?
Yeah, there are very well-established real estate laws protecting the entrepreneurs. They come from the German style of law. So there's a really robust system of law in place, a really robust land title system as well. So people can be really guaranteed that their investments will be protected.
Okay.
I guess my question, a little bit more about your background. Have you operated in Africa much, and in this space in Africa or globally?
Yeah, so we've been in Africa now since about 2015. Unfortunately, though, we had a bit of a bad experience in another country where we were a little over-optimistic about what the government was promised that they could do to help us create social change. So from there, we've regrouped and we redeployed our resources now into Namibia, where we have been for the last 18 months.
Hello, one more question. On this 10%, which I think it sounds very attractive, is there tax issues? Is there withholding, or do you get it gross in the company? How would that work for the investor?
For the investor, doesn't have to worry about any of that. We'd take care of all of that. What the investor can be certain about, that they're going to get a 10% return at the end of the day, paid semi-annually with a well-securitized package of assets against it.
Okay, Richard, what do you think?
It's interesting, and we as a company have done a lot of things that have helped us with, on the commodity side, and clearly there's a big housing need there in many of those countries. My question, you mentioned about it would be secured by the land. Do you buy a large land parcel and then build houses and sell them each? But who owns the land under each house?
So we buy the land from the state pension fund. They have a large housing development ongoing there at the moment, which is essentially 11,000 homes. So we buy service land from them in large parcels. So we have an option contract at the moment to buy 300 homes, and we typically draw that down in tranches of around about 20 to 50 at any given time, and we develop those, we sell those, and then we move on to the next tranche.
And you indicated you had about 700 employees. Are these construction people?
Yeah, so we have around about 750 construction employees, from the base labourer through to the bricklayer, and as well as to the additional skilled people such as the plumbers, the electricians, the tilers as well.
And then last question, you mentioned 10%, and then every 6 months you can, the debt holder can opt to just cash in. So when somebody is investing in a piece of this debt, is it on one tranche of 300 homes? And how do you assume that you have, as a debt holder, I'd have the right to take the money out?
So it wouldn't be on the tranche of the homes. What it is it's against receivables that we're waiting to collect. So at any given time, we have a receivables book, and that's what we're looking to refinance here. And against that is where the debt is issued. And now we're suggesting a 60% loan to value against that receivables book. So the underlying investor is well covered against any potential risk.
John?
And last simple question on the 60% loan to value is how much is what's the traditional term and interest rate on something like that to the homeowner?
To the homeowners locally, they pay Namibian Prime back to the banks, which is at 10.5%.
Okay, John, you had one question quickly.
Yeah, one quick question is, I assume you looked at conventional sources for factoring these receivables from local Namibian banks. What are the rates that they're charging? And then also, secondly, how do you relate this to dollars versus Namibian exchange and exchange rate risk? Is that on the part of the investor, or are you paying in dollars?
So first of all, we're paying in dollar terms. So the investor, we're trying to take all the complexity out of it for the investor and give them a simple product that's well securitized. In terms of the finding this funding facility locally, the banks are just not offering it. And that's one of the core problems that we're having, is that we have these long receivables outstanding, and it delays us in our growth factor in sort of providing more homes to people that need them. So what we're looking to do is take this to the international markets, take out the complexity, provide a great security package, and so the underlying investor doesn't have to worry about any of these things.
Brendan, good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Brendan Kuss, CEO of Namibia International Capital. So there you go. Who would have thought? We've gone through 9 entrepreneurs or 9 sets of businesses, 9 ideas. Before we say goodbye, let's find out which idea or business stood out most in the crowd. Bill, let's come to you. Out of everything you've heard tonight, what was the one thing that got you most excited?
I thought the IFTech, the video game suits in terms of the most interesting, addressable, and scalable.
John?
I like Ticket. I thought that the target market, the size of the addressable market, and how quickly this could be scaled out with limited capital, I think is pretty compelling.
Richard?
I actually like those two, along with the exercise machine. I've got to figure out some way to motivate myself, and it seemed like something that can have more than one function on a simple area, and you can go at your own pace. And I like the model. I mean, I think we've all seen what something like Peloton has done. It seemed, assuming it works right, it seemed like a very crisp machine. Of course, I'm thinking, how can we get the $40 a month down to $9.99 a month or something?
Yeah, because it's quite healthy.
I like the idea.
Yeah, $3,500 up front and then 40 a month is probably a little steep. Manny, Tom, what stood out for you guys?
I like the passion in the lady from Ontario who was the mining.
Yeah.
I like to know how do they separate, and I liked her enthusiasm about it. And I also thought the Namibian home building, helping a country, if it's secured in the manner that he said, it could be very interesting.
Yeah, I agree with the boys on the screen, but for me, I quite like the Chicago brothers.
Yeah.
I think if they manage their growth, that seemed quite a steady, safe place
There's something
to look
about
at.
those stories. Firefighters doing social housing. There's something about that just seems right. Well, look, I've got to thank you all so much for joining us. Bill Johnson, John Wilson, Richard Galanti, thank you. And in the studio with me, Tom Onions and Manny Wise. It's been really great to have you all on. Thank you so much for your thoughts and processes. And that's just about it. For the Crowd Live today. I hope that you found a few ideas that made you stand up and take notice. If not, head to the app. Your next investment opportunity could just be one swipe away. I'm Ross Westgate. Join us next time on The Crowd Live.